Black people arrested at gunpoint over rental cars they say they paid for.
37 days in jail behind it.
Hertz is being accused of reporting their car stolen while paying customers are driving them. Some are even being thrown in jail for months. I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates. Since 2016, the major rental car company Hertz has reported about 3,400 rental car thefts each and every year, but hundreds of their customers are telling the Shade Room that in fact they are actually losing their rental car agreements, making it seem like these cars are stolen, and then relying on police to go find them. In Atlanta, this man pulled over on the highway, guns drawn.
Walk backwards, backwards.
In Oklahoma City, this former federal officer detained at a gas station. He had just picked up a rental car from Hertz an hour earlier.
Sir, are you in that Nissan with
Yes, sir.
Body camera video obtained by CBS News, it shows the officer looking over the rental agreement.
Well, I'm trying to see where the actual car is that shows this specific car.
Turns out the car was reported stolen 9 months before. Hertz claimed that they notified police, but it was still listed as stolen in the National Police Database.
Grand theft auto is a real charge. It's a felony charge. And it means that when you file that police report, you're going to have a 5-car squad with guns drawn, putting guns, semi-automatic guns to people's heads.
Francis Malafi is the attorney representing close to 300 people who filed lawsuits against Hertz in the last 6 years, most of them Black.
Hertz is not correcting their police reports, and they're falsifying payment information, falsifying contacts with the renter.
It was just horrible.
Shontrell Higgs, she lives in Miami, and she says that she called Hertz to extend her rental agreement 3 separate times back in 2019. This receipt says it was due March 29th.
I would speak to the representative and they would extend it and then they would charge my card.
She got it extended another week. Court records reportedly showing text messages between her and a Hertz representative on April 9th, one day before she was supposed to finally return the car. A customer service representative in those text messages saying, quote, "Call me as soon as you get to the location to return this unit. I will need to call the location you are at to get this stopped." Higgs responds, "It will be at the Fort Lauderdale location." The representative then responds saying, quote, "Call me when you are there. They do not answer their phone." End quote. But hours later, Higgs was shocked when she stopped to get pizza with her godmother.
And next thing you know, I see a police car pulled in front and I see other cars pulled in behind. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then he called my name and I was like, he like, Shontrell Higgs? And I'm like, yes. He was like, do you know this vehicle is stolen? And I was like, no, this is a rental.
She says she showed the police the agreement, but it was not enough.
I ended up getting arrested that day. And the officer says, the only reason why we did not draw our guns is because when he looked at me and he was speaking to me, he can tell I had no clue about what was going on.
Higgs would spend the next 37 days in jail because Hertz pursued felony fraud and theft charges. In that time, she says that she lost her home and missed out from graduating nursing school. She also had 2 kids at home.
I had to sit in jail and try to figure out what I was going to do because they just was not hearing it. They were only set on, well, Hertz said you stole this car, so this is what it is.
She says she pled guilty because she could not spend another day in jail. She was put on probation and forced to wear an ankle monitor.
Never been in trouble, just living their life. I'm just living my life, enjoying life.
Julius Burnside says he too took a plea deal when he was arrested in Gwinnett County near Atlanta back in 2019, days after he dropped off his rental on the due date.
It's so much anger and rage because it's like I'm stuck here for something I paid for, you know, and if it wasn't for my kids, I would have never signed a plea deal. I still would have probably been sitting in jail.
You're saying that Hertz is using the police to repo their cars on their customers' backs. Is that
That's right? Absolutely. And you know, no corporation in America acts or conducts themselves this way. No other rental company acts or conducts themselves this way. Only Hertz.
Malafi says that Hertz has been doing this for years. He says it's cheaper for the company to use police agencies to track down cars they've mistraced than spend the money to update their computer systems.
They have computer systems which are outdated. The locations don't talk to headquarters. They don't reconcile their information. So oftentimes, if you extend a rental, if you exchange a rental, if you have a flat tire, it won't get processed properly.
Why don't you think Hertz would change their practices?
I think there hasn't been enough outcry.
Until now. Senator Richard Blumenthal last week calling out Hertz in a letter demanding information about the policies and procedures that Hertz has in place. He summed it up in an interview with CBS This Morning.
Hertz, you have an obligation to correct the record, to take action, to remedy this wrong, to provide people some kind of compensation, and to admit that you've done wrong.
Are law enforcement starting to catch on?
So, you know, what's nice is that we do have certain law enforcement. I think Louisville stopped taking Hertz theft reports because they were just unverified and they couldn't rely on them. So big credit to them. I also know Indianapolis experienced issues where they started being skeptical of Hertz's police reports for theft. I also know Southern California and also Colorado. There was 2 agencies there. We are seeing prosecutors recognizing this is a nationwide systemic issue, and they're starting to drop these cases because Hertz doesn't do a damn thing after the person gets thrown into the system. Nothing at all.
Hertz has denied these business practices, and in previous statements, they've said in part, quote, that alerting the authorities is always a last resort. It's sometimes necessary after all options have been exhausted to retrieve a vehicle from a customer who has refused to return it, isn't responding, and isn't continuing payment. Alerting the authorities typically only happens at the end of an extensive multi-week process that includes phone calls, texts, emails, certified letters asking the customer to return the vehicle. It is important to note that many of these cases have since been dismissed, some customers even receiving settlements. One woman reportedly receiving a $100,000 settlement from Hertz. But they do say that it does not erase the trauma that this has caused them and the challenge of even getting a job with the stain of a felony on their criminal records. For TSR Investigates, I'm Justin Carter. Hello roommates, and thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Do you want more TSR Investigates? Be sure to subscribe and check us out at theshaderoom.com.